All right, so let's take a look at how we can go about getting rid of wrinkles, and not necessarily totally getting rid of wrinkles, but really de-emphasizing wrinkles. We can say that again, that the tool of touching up our photographs is not so that it looks like it was done in Photoshop. We want to really keep the character of our shooter and just make these subtle changes. So here goes. So we come on in, and we want to start getting rid of some of these wrinkles, but we want to keep it so our sitter looks age appropriate. So let's come on in here and focus in on these eyes. And what I want to do right now is I want to actually create a new layer. All right, and let's actually, I'm going to name this layer Wrinkles. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I am going to work with the healing brush tool. Now, you could do the spot healing brush. I'm going to do the healing brush tool because you have just a little bit more control. What happens with the healing brush tool is we actually choose the pixels that we want to use. Now, healing brush tool is a lot like the clone tool. The clone tool actually samples exact pixels, whereas the healing brush tool will sample pixels and blend them with the ones that we're using. So I come on in, I can zoom in nice and close. It's the beauty of having a high resolution image. Move it on over, okay, and I'm going to click this guy again. It's always good to know my keyboard shortcut is the letter J. I always tend to forget. Now, what I want to do is I want to sample this. Yours may be at current layer. I want to do all layers, okay, so I want to sample this below, but all of the changes that I'm going to make are going to be recorded in this layer right here. I have my history open. Very easily I can go back in my history and get rid of what I don't want. So I'm going to lower my brush a little bit. Again, yours will really depend on the resolution of your image. And I come in and I want my hardness to be at 0. Okay, we want our hardness to be at 0. I'm going to lower the spacing. So I'm going to put the spacing a little bit closer together. So, and what's the story with the spacing? We could talk about the spacing for a minute. All right, so Photoshop is based on pixels, so each time that we take and we paint with this, we're actually painting a 10 pixels, and they're spaced in a certain way. So, and in my videos on the paintbrush, I go over this a little more clearly, so it doesn't make sense. Look at some of my videos on paintbrushes. I'm going to go up to 15 as I look at this. Okay, so I'm going to sample from these pixels right next to them. I'm going to hold down Option Alt, I click, I've loaded my brush in, and there we go. Now, as many times as we need to come in and do so, we will. Option click, Option click. See how sometimes it gets a little bit too close, and then I have to load up my brush again. It's starting to keep working with this. Option click. Okay, moving right along. Option click. Now again, we don't want to get rid of too much info. Zoom it on in. So this is what we've done. We'll turn this. All right, so now, but you can see that a lot of them look kind of choppy. The coloring looks a little bit off, and I can look and see I am zoomed in still. But what I could do is I could actually lower the opacity of this layer, and then we can see some of the wrinkles are still there, but they're just not as dramatic. Okay, so that would be the way to go. Let me up this opacity again. And I'm going to work on this a little bit. I'm going to hit pause, work on this a little bit, and then I'll turn it on and show you what I have. Now, some of this info down here, this is going to be pretty hard to do because we don't want to get rid of it, but I'm going to try to soften it a little bit. And again, I'm just going to work in the same way. Now, going back, if I wanted to get rid of some of these other blemishes, these moles on our face, I could just come on in. I'm going to lower this down. Now, this what I have is a spot healing brush tool. This needs to be bigger. Hold on. Sorry. All right, so I could use this one. I'm hitting the wrong keys here. I could use my spot healing brush. I could up the size of this. Up. Let me go. I'm going to go to this layer right here to do that one. There we go. All right, we come on in. We can zoom on through and start to get rid of some of these. You can see what we're getting rid of. Again, it's a much more subtle kind of thing. We don't want to do too much too quick because then we can just, lose it a little bit. What we also did for in the other video, I actually addressed this face over here. What else we could do to get rid of some of these hairs? Again, same thing, we would use the healing brush tool. Again, we can up our brushes here and we can come on in, option, click, start getting rid of some of these stray hairs. As you can see, right, we can really fix up photos and make them look very, very nice. They say that, Hollywood stars have photographers that work for them and just clean up their photos. Wouldn't that be awesome? All right, so here we go. I'm going to work a little bit and then show you my before and my after. So this is where they're starting to come. This is my wrinkles one. So we're starting to improve this. We can see it's subtle changes and you can spend quite a bit of time. And I'll say it one more time. Our goal is to really we don't want to get rid of the character of the sitter. We want to make these subtle changes. So I'm going to pause right now and turn back on in a second for you and a little bit of time for me. Here we have it. We can take a look at what was done before and after. Again, it's subtle, still feels like the same person, same sitter. There's even more we could do to work with this. Now, this info down in here, if you want to spend time playing around with it, I was finding that working with it, it was making it just look like it just, it just wasn't working. So now what I could do too is if I felt like it was too subtle, too crazy, I could, if you overdid it, you could lower the opacity of this. And then we can see that the info is still there, but it's just not as dramatic. And I think that actually this works fine at 100%. So there we have it, getting rid of wrinkles. Starting to, not make them look so dramatic, taking them away, making our sitters look better, yet still natural. Thanks so much.